This is a blog that's actually in French, and except for this part where it labels the silver and gold prices. And this is in the Weimar Republic from 1919 to 1923 when they experienced rapid hyperinflation. Not something we're going to experience here in the United States, I don't think, but I think we're going to have very strong inflation. But do recall that from January 1919, gold, for instance, was 170, and from 1 year later it went to 1340, but then it had a severe pullback before it started taking off again. Now that's basically kind of like what's going on today with us, even though this is like a shorter time frame period. This pullback, this correction period maybe is not over with, but it's not something where gold and silver are going to stay flat all year. I don't think so. And I know Ben Bernanke's not hinting anything about QE3 or anything like that, unless there's some severe problem. And most people do expect that Ben Bernanke will act very severely, very quickly, if there is a severe problem. But there is other things going on behind the scenes, and I stated this before, is that the Chinese are going to appreciate their yuan in conjunction with working together with the West. I mean, the West might accuse them of doing this and that for the public consumption, but the Chinese are going to appreciate their yuan. Thus, we'll devalue the dollar, and I would think that would mean that gold and silver are going to go up relative to the dollar. But also, another fact is that banks are actually very flush with cash, and actually the large companies are very flush with cash. There's like a mood that not to get speculative too much into different things. You'll notice, like, the old adage, like, you want to figure out when there's going to be a bust on an economy, look at all the skyscrapers being built, because the mood is very high, and people are, optimistic, so they take risks and they take big gambles. Well, today the mood is actually not that way, so actually there's a lot of cash hoarding going on. But eventually, that cash is going to come out behind the dam. And Ben Bernanke actually is increasing the money supply all the time. So it's like the money supply is being built up. It's just that it's just being held, and it's being held back. Eventually, it's going to find a home. And there is going to be a bubble in certain areas. And I would think some of the bubbles are going to be in gold and silver, because by process of elimination. Because one thing we noticed, like if we're looking at the dollar index, it's not actually doing super good. It's like 79. And considering all the problems they had in Europe, the dollar index should be closer to like 88, I would think, like it was back in January 2010. Because it looks like everybody's running out of, the banks in Spain and Italy and Portugal and stuff like that, running to safety. You would think there'd be more of a flight to safety to the U.S. dollar, and that would bring up the index even more. But no, I don't know exactly where the money's going to, but somehow it doesn't seem like it's going into the U.S. dollar. So I think a lot of people are, I don't know what they're doing exactly, but I would think that there probably is a lot of gold and silver buying going on behind the scenes, although we're not seeing this reflected in the prices. Now, another thing, an indication that things are looking like pretty heated up, good for the economy anyway, is the J.P. Morgan Global Manufacturing Index, which is well above 50, and actually it went up again this month. So that should mean an upturn in the metals normally. But like I pointed out before, like when this thing was going up back in December 31st, 2011, silver actually bottomed at that time, but then it took off from there. So we might see, the silver taking off again here pretty soon. I don't know exactly when. I think maybe in a week or two. That's what I'm thinking. The bottom for silver to low is pretty close to in. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think it's actually going to go down to 26 unless there's like this catastrophic problem in Europe and it falls apart. But, that's an unforeseen event. But if there is a catastrophic problem in Europe, I think that's going to affect everything across the board, obviously. And what they'll do is, Ben Bernanke might unexpectedly announce QE. So don't sell off any gold. Don't sell off any silver, because I think the stuff is going to be way the hell up. It's going to when it moves, it's going to more than make up for lost time. That's really what always happens. Looking at the long range chart on silver, this is a weekly. You can basically see, I'm not going to go by price points and resistance points and everything like that. I don't think it's going to hit into this area again down at 26, 27. I mean, I'm very bullish on the metal, so to me it's very tough for me to even think that something that fundamentally, inherently is this valuable and used widely in industry would get slammed down in price. But it always seems to do it anyway, in any case. But I think that there is a lot of buying pressure coming out from China, and with their markets that are being opened up and stuff, the whole thing is a new game changer. In other words, silver can get slammed down if it was the same situation as it was, 40 years ago, where China wasn't a major player. But the world has changed. So I think silver has a lot of buying pressure going on behind it, and the bottom is probably pretty close. It is pretty close. I said this before, but I think I'm correct in this assumption, and I'm long on everything right now. So I'm just hanging in on there. And I'm also long on platinum. Now, as far as supply and demand on various metals, like for instance, if we look at platinum, platinum actually is very much in short supply. In 2011, look at this chart. It goes like, say, for instance, in 2011. You look at the prices, it went up to about 1900, then it got slammed down here with the raising the margin rates and everything like that, and then it got slammed down some more. It was down below $1,400, right? And it was a high of 1906 or over 1900. It was 19 something for the year platinum. Fundamentally, that makes absolutely no sense. The demand for platinum was record in 2011. It was the most demand ever, and they could not meet the demand. They couldn't. The suppliers of platinum could not meet the demand, and they had to pull out of stockpiles to meet demand. Now, just recently, they also had more strikes and power outages in South Africa. They lost like 3% of the yearly annual production, tens of thousands of ounces of platinum. Yet the price is dropping faster than gold. So, so much for fundamentals. I mean, I don't know, sometimes I don't understand why, a news story would not move a market a certain way or not. Now, I'm into platinum on non-leverage, but I think eventually it's going to be a big winner, because platinum eventually will be worth more than gold. So I'll just hang on to it. But you have to remember that when you're looking at silver, look at the other metals like platinum and palladium also. I mean, I know maybe there is this thing with JP Morgan doing this stuff with the short position on silver, but there's a lot of things that seem to not make sense in other metals, and they sometimes they'll look down and say, oh, that's platinum, what, it doesn't have monetary value or whatever. That's not really what I'm getting at. Same thing also with palladium. Palladium had a record usage demand for 2011. They had to pull out of Russian stockpiles to meet demand, and yet the price was slammed down. And yet we're looking at production that's higher, especially like in vehicles. Overall, globally, production of vehicles is actually higher. It's going up every year. And that's 60% usage of palladium. So something does not smell right with a lot of situations, not only with silver but with all the metals. And I do expect them to go up a lot. I almost expect like there's a game going on where they're trying to shake people loose. So hang on, and I think the time is going to come where all these metals are going to go up explosively in price, to fantastic amounts that some of these people were predicting before, but not without other pullbacks. Like, for instance, I don't think silver is going to go blast over $100 before it has a pullback. Maybe it'll go to 75, $78 and have a pullback below 50. Now, once things start heating up again, you're going to see 50 million cheerleaders out there telling you it's going to go right to the moon. It never does. It never does. But as far as some of the fundamentals, it doesn't actually play out the same way what's going on in the market, and even sometimes a lot of things don't play out even the way current news events are moving the markets. For instance, like I stated, that in 2011, for both platinum and palladium, those metals had record usage, the most usage they ever had. It was a record year, and yet they could not meet demand. Demand could not meet supply, and they had to pull out of reserve stockpiles to meet the demands of industry. Yet the prices went down on both metals. So I don't know exactly why that is, and it doesn't seem to make any sense. But when you're looking at silver, similar types of things are going on. So I don't know if that's a big conspiracy or what, or it's market rigging or whatever it is. But I do want to point out that you might see some drastic changes coming up here fairly soon. It's kind of like when you're waiting for something to happen, it's like you're waiting for water to boil or whatever it is. I think these metals prices are going to start boiling up and moving up quite a bit. So, but just hang on, don't sell off anything, because it's a matter of timing. And I think that despite, even if Ben Bernanke does not do QE3, there's other factors out there that bring these metals up. And one, like I stated before, was the appreciation of the Chinese yuan, which will devalue the dollar. And also, number two, the devaluation of the debt, downgrading the U.S. debt further. You notice even back then the gold went up, but you know what? It also helped silver, it also helped the other metals, palladium and platinum too, because people tend to even run into those metals, not just gold, when they feel the fiat money is not safe. So we're looking again at our dollar right now. The dollar index is at 79. It probably should be a lot higher considering what's going on in Europe. So just wait. I think this stuff is going to play out quite well.